With the matchup on the horizon between SEC rivals, South Carolina Gamecocks and LSU Tigers, this is sure to be one for the ages. Last season, the Gamecocks proved to be too much to handle against LSU as they absolutely dominated that matchup, finishing 88-64. LSU had an opportunity to enact revenge, but they once again lost to the Lady Vols in the SEC semifinals of the tournament, in which South Carolina would be the champs. LSU indirectly would go on to get revenge by taking out the team that put South Carolina away. But this is a new season, and both are looking to prove themselves once again as the world looks on to their matchup on January 25th. Welcome to this edition of the State of Hoops on the Doctrine of Hoops channel. I am your host, Rashad. Here, we will be chopping it up on the most important topics in basketball. South Carolina and LSU began the season on complete opposite sides of where they are currently ranked in the AP standings for this week. LSU was thought of as the defending champs, rightfully so, bringing in the best and highly sought after transfers, so it was only expected that they would be a true juggernaut and be ready to defend their crown. South Carolina was thought of as the team who just lost their highly revered core, headlined by the sensational Aaliyah Boston, so although they would still be good, they would be sort of knocked down a peg. So most of the rankings had them anywhere from the 8th spot to the 6th spot. But as I stated, they are now on the opposite side of this equation. Let's talk about some of the transfers that both squads picked up.
My goal is to get a double-double every night. I'm a double-double machine, and I've been that since my freshman year. So just staying as consistent as I possibly can.
Morrow scored most of her points from down below by using her size and playing big. The player also had multiple turnaround jumpers, making it almost impossible for the defense to defend her.
I personally feel like I've always been kind of hard to defend since I've been a freshman, but I will also say just how aggressive I am on the boards, offensively, defensively, how I get in the passing lanes, and just positioning myself in the right spots at the right time.
So, all of the rage was made of LSU acquiring Haley Van Lith and Anissa Morrow, who were considered the premier transfers in the portal. Although now looking back, Lauren Betts may have a word, especially with how UCLA is dominating right now. But nonetheless, still a great transfer class. Personally, while I was intrigued by them going to LSU, I always felt a bit of pessimism about the fit because I just felt like this could be a scenario where you bring a lot of good, talented people and players together, and they just don't complement each other well. I didn't see this team having an actual true point guard, and I felt that with Anissa Morrow, she would have to play power forward while being undersized, which would also force Angel Reese to the center position, something we all know she prefers not to play. Anissa Morrow was actually one of the players I was most worried about because I just didn't really see how she would fit because at her time at DePaul, she took a ton of shots, and in some regards, she wasn't that efficient. Now, some of that is she just had a down year, so I didn't know how much to take that into consideration for her play this year. That could have very well just meant she lost motivation, and that would end up being the motive behind her wanting to transfer. But it was just the fact that she was an undersized power forward, kind of like a tweener that was a volume scorer and hadn't really developed a consistent outside shot. But to my surprise, it has actually translated quite well. Defensively, she was always good, but I wondered could she guard the perimeter, and her defensive impact has been wonderful. She is a dog on that end, and if you play in her face with the ball, well, you may as well hand it over to her. She is a player who I believe can be ideal in switching situations because she can guard perimeter and in the post without being at a huge disadvantage. And the thing is, her outside shot is still struggling as she is only shooting around 11% from 3 at the making of this video, but her free throw percent is 84%. And that also translates to her mid-range game. She is absolutely killing it from there, and that is a lot of her skill set. Her face-up games out of the mid-post and out of the pick-and-pop situations are incredible to watch. And it's interesting because traditionally, that type of skill set is not necessarily associated with someone of her frame because she goes right up and goes up right away and is killing it from there. Usually players with a lot of length has that type of play style where you just turn around and rise up right over the defense, but she is able to pull it off because of her release speed. She also is just a beast down low, and that's why they call her Niece the Beast. And she's so strong that she can muscle you and hop step right into the defender's chest. On the other side, The player that I thought would be ready to take that leap, but hasn't panned out as effortlessly, is Hailey Van Lith. I mean, we see the skill set, we see her workouts, and the level of shot creator she could be. I guess because they didn't have any point guards like that on the roster, they started out playing her there, and that's one thing that has always plagued her and really dropped her value as a WNBA prospect is that, okay, yes, she is skilled, but she plays more like an off guard, shooting guard, but she is incredibly undersized at that position. So you would like her to use this year to develop point guard skills, but it just really halts this team because she's not playing to her strengths, which is basically off of the ball and letting someone else set up the offense. Going over to South Carolina, their transfer to Hina Paopao has been everything South Carolina could have hoped for. The jump shot is jump shotting. As everyone thought, last year South Carolina was an interior team that lacked the shooting, and it allowed teams to double and triple team their dominant post bigs without consequence. Well, this season, Tahina Paopao is the consequence. That would also be a cold nickname, the consequence. I would like South Carolina fans to immediately run with that. But nah, honestly, I believe her prospects as a WNBA player is rising tremendously. Not just because her shooting ability, but she has also been playing some great defense and has shown the ability to create off the dribble for herself. We love versatile players at that pro level, and if she keeps showing consistency, we are looking at a dangerous prospect. Dare I say, she could be who we thought Hailey Van Lith was supposed to. Don't attack me in the comment section, by the way. Also, in this SEC showdown between two powerhouse programs, we will get to see two electric, dynamic young freshmen get a chance to go at it with Malaysia Fulwiley and Michaela Williams. With Fulwiley, we all know the exciting fast break highlight plays she is able to bring to the table, but in a few games this season, she has been benched, and a lot of people had thoughts on Dawn Staley's decision to bench her, but you have to look at it from not only a coach, but a mentor and a developer of players' perspective. It's not always about the flash and the home run plays. It's the little things that make you a winning player in the long run, and I think that is the message Dawn is trying to get to not only Malaysia, but all of her players in general. With Fulwiley, she still has to find her game in the half court, find her shot, and just things such as decision making. The athleticism is already there. The skills and showmanship is there as well. For her, it would just be about putting all of that together. With Michaela Williams, I have always been fascinated with her as a player. She just has that it factor, and that was evident from day one. Even before day one, because that's why immediately after LSU transfers were announced, I made a video saying it wasn't Angel Reese or Hailey Van Lith I was afraid of if I was other teams. It was Williams I would be afraid of. So with Michaela Williams, it's interesting because I come from the men's side of things, and I'm always looking for comparisons to the men's game. And I get a lot of people who don't like that when people that talk women's basketball compare it to the men's game, but you have to live with it because that's my foundation and the lens that I learned basketball through. But back to Williams, I couldn't find an accurate comparison because I felt that she had some James Harden in her game, being big and strong combo guards who can create their own looks. But I'm starting to back away from that a little bit because I don't think their three-point shot creation will be at the same levels. That's not to say she isn't a three-point shooter, because she is shooting a whopping 50, 40, 90, which is crazy. I think it's 45% from the three and 93% from the stripe. This is absolutely insane from a freshman, but her ability to do step-back threes, that's just not in her game at the moment. Another player that came to mind was Oscar Robertson. Similar build and similar mid-range game, while having the ball in her hands creating shots, but I don't see her playmaking at that level just yet. She still has to make some strides there, but another interesting comparison I found surprisingly was Kawhi Leonard, specifically a more guard-oriented and less defensive version of Kawhi Leonard. She has to turn around in the post, she loves to come off those sideline pick and rolls and just be a menace from mid-range, really picking her defenders apart. Also, if you try to go under the screen because you think you are going to beat her to the spot, well, she's going to burn you from the three. It's just so reminiscent to how Kawhi plays, and her ability to have a nice handle is similar because Leonard actually has a very underrated handle as well. I think this matchup between freshmen will turn a lot of heads this upcoming game. Now, on to the matchup itself. Let's look.
Matchup here, number 1 South Carolina, number 11 Utah. Two of the most exciting offenses in the country. Both teams plenty of weapons to choose from.
Have fun, share the ball, play hard, talk this Windows 50-50 ball.
Play your game, do what you do.
We go same lineup. Same game, same miss. We only got.
in the Invesco QQQ Basketball Hall of Fame Women's Showcase, and we are underway. Pow on the reverse, flips it in. South Carolina, undefeated, #1 team in the nation. Hits, a long step, held the pivot, and finish. Looking to work Watkins. Keeley gets denied by Watkins. Wiley will fire, and hit from 3. But a 6-0 run from the Gamecocks to end the half, 41-34.
We got to build our lead the same way that we got it, which is really good shots. Once we have really good shots, we knock them down.
On the drive, Young gets denied emphatically on the interior. Here's Hall on the other end, laying it in. Cardoso sheds Johnson and lays it in. Alpal has just such a poise about her in these moments. The runner, you bet! Gets denied by Watkins. What a rejection. Hall lays it in, plus the foul. And South Carolina survives as the Gamecocks remain undefeated.
Look at how each team may approach this matchup and how they can establish dominance and come out victorious. With South Carolina, we all know size is king, and if LSU is going with the front court of Anissa Morrow, Angel Reese, and a smaller player on the wing such as Williams or flau'jae Johnson, that could put them at an incredible disadvantage because honestly, Kamilla Cardoso and Chloe Kitts will probably eat their lunch. But if Kim Mulkey does what I think she will, she'll probably insert 6'6" freshman Aaliyah Del Rosario to combat some of the size issues. This allows Angel Reese to play a more natural position for her, and it puts Anissa Morrow on the wing, a place she's more than capable of holding her own, as I just acknowledged how good of a perimeter defender she is. This also makes them a dangerous rebounding team, which will help combat Cardoso just eating up the boards. Something that Dawn Staley alluded to was that as conference play began, she wanted to see Cardoso show more back to the basket polish down low, instead of just relying on strictly tall ball baskets. If I'm Mulkey, I'm testing this out, because there really is no need to play to South Carolina's strengths, which is to overplay their posts and leave their shooters open to get hot. Force Kamilla Cardoso to be a go-to scoring option. If this strategy succeeds, then South Carolina will have to have a lot of discussions going forward. Now, as of South Carolina beating LSU, if all things go well and they are able to play their game as they've been playing, then they should be able to run right over LSU and be able to win as expected. But if Mulkey switches things up, then they have to have proper strategies to counter that. The main things will be to put their lack of playmaking and floor general to the test by having your guards like Raven Johnson, Pow, and Bree Hall, and Wiley put intense pressure on their ball handlers. Also test Angel Reese as a primary option and not as a cleanup option. This means try to keep the ball out of Anissa Morrow's hands and out of Michaela Williams' hands. Angel caught a lot of flack because of the whole benching situation, and a lot of people were talking about how she hasn't developed her game during the offseason. And side note, I think we are going to need to start a discussion. About how these players that are building their brand need something like a team or mentorship to help with the balancing of this component, so players can still get those opportunities without losing the main goal, which is to develop as basketball players, students, professionals, and young men and women. That's what I hope my